And so as he continues through the book, and as I said, this is a big, thick book, and I had to really be selective about what to call out. And he talks about the various phases of the war. He talks a pretty big chunk about the air war, but really it's all leading towards one thing. It's all leading towards one event. It's all leading towards one invasion, and that's D-Day. And he spends time in England. You know, they're doing the preparation, and they're doing what the Americans did in England when they were getting ready. And then finally, they get the word that the mission is going to commence. And we'll go to the book. We felt our chances were not very good, and we were not happy about it. Men like Don Whitehead and Clark Lee, who had been through the mill so long and so boldly, began to get nerves. Frankly, I was the worst of the lot and continued to be. I began having terrible periods of depression and often would dream hideous dreams. All the time, fear lay blackly deep upon our consciousness. It bore down on our hearts like an all-consuming weight. People would talk to us, and we wouldn't want to hear what they were saying. Now, those are the correspondents. Those are the war correspondents. That's who he's talking about. When they bring them together, they're talking like a squad or a platoon of war correspondents, and they are scared to death. The Army said they would try and give us 24 hours notice of departure. Actually, the call came at 9 o'clock one morning, and we were ordered to be at a certain place with full field kit at 10:30 a.m. We threw our stuff together. Probably a smart way to do it. You know, hey, we'll give you 24 hours advance notice. Don't worry, we'll let you know. Hey, report in an hour. Because he's going to talk about this. The waiting is not good. That is the stress part.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with everything. Mm-hmm. Anything that like a jiu-jitsu tournament, mm-hmm. when you're waiting to compete, that's the worst part. Once you go,
yep.
Okay, your mind is free and you're just doing what you do, even during a workout.
Yep.
If you got a hard workout that you're going to do, you're dreading it. And I do this. I'll be like if I have squats and I'm sitting there, I'll make all kinds of, maybe I need to stretch a little bit more. And you know what? Let me just grab a little bit more water and then let me check the lineup of the music that's going to play and just make sure that that's good to go. And hold on, is this bumper plate look straight? I'm going to straighten that out. So you just sit there and hem and haw. And then finally you walk over, you press your start on your stopwatch. And then there's no stopping. You just go. Yep. And half an hour later, the deed is done.
Yep.
But the waiting.
Yep. If it's going down, let's get it over with kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what? This is that Shakespeare quote that I read one time on here. That moment in between taking the action and when you think of the action and when you take the action, that moment is an eternity.
Yeah.
An abyss. So you got to close the distance on that thing, which is exactly what they did. Oh, we'll give you 24 hours. No, we're going to close the distance. You got an hour and a half. Be here with your gear, ready to get it on. Back to the book. Bill Stoneman, another correspondent who had been wounded once, never showed the slightest concern. Whether he felt any concern or not, I could not tell. Bill had a humorous, sardonic manner. While we were waiting for departure into the unknown, he took out a pencil and a notebook as though starting to interview me. Tell me, Mr. Pyle, how does it feel to be an assault correspondent? Being a man of few words, I said, it feels awful. We had hardly got aboard when the lines were cast off and we pulled out. That evening, the colonel commanding the troops on our ship gave me the whole invasion plan in detail. The secret the whole world had waited years to hear. Once a man had heard it, it became permanently part of it. He became permanently part of it. Then he was committed. It was too late to back out, even if his heart failed him. I asked a good many questions. I realized my voice was shaking when I spoke, but I couldn't help it. Yes, it would be tough, the colonel admitted. Our own part would be precarious. He hoped to go in with as few casualties as possible, but there would be casualties. From a vague anticipatory dread, the invasion now turned into a horrible reality for me. In a matter of hours, the holocaust of our own planning would swirl over us. No man could guarantee his own fate. It was almost too much for me. A feeling of utter desperation obsessed me throughout the night. It was nearly 4 a.m. before I got to sleep, and then it was a sleep harassed and torn by an awful knowledge.